the 60s. Peace, love, dope. A time for swinging and grooving, and a time for the legacy acts of today to be discovered. We are here to count down our top 10 albums of the 60s, but first, here are the top 10 selling albums of the decade. Okay, at number 10, with 10 million sales, is Patsy Cline's Greatest Hits.
Crazy.
At number 9, with 12 million sales, it's Led Zeppelin 1.
Been dazed and confused for so long, it's not true.
At number 8, with 13.7 million sales, it's the Beatles and the White Album.
Have you seen the little piggies crawling in the dirt?
At number 7, with 15 million sales, it's the official soundtrack to The Sound of Music.
These are a few of my favorite things.
Ugh.
At number 6 is Led Zeppelin again with Led Zeppelin 2. At number 5, with 19.97 million sales, it's the Beatles again and Abbey Road.
Bang, bang, Maxwell Silver hammer came down upon her head.
At number, hang on a minute. At number 4, it's The Doors, and The Doors with 20 million sales.
This is the end.
Nearly was the end then. At number 3, with 20 million sales, it's The Who and Tommy. At number 2, with 30 million sales, it's Iron Butterfly with Inner Good. Oh fuck! Inner Good. Oh god! Inner Good. Oh fuck! That's it. Inner God of Davida. And at number 1, with 32 million sales, it's the Beatles, of course, and Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. And the reason that I'm getting my words all mixed up is because I'm so very nervous because we've got a superstar with us.
No, you're not.
Superstar with us this episode. It's an old friend of ours from podcasting days because she was such a wonderful guest on our WTAF of This Country podcast back in the day, if you want to call it that. Ladies and gentlemen, the star of Harry Potter, Man Down, This Country, Eastenders, so many things that IMDb just hasn't got enough space on their website for.
So much shit.
It's Ashley McGuire. Yay! Oh, it's so good to see you, Ashley. How are you doing?
Good, Pav. Yeah, good. Very well.
Good. I noticed that you said, because I put on the promo for it, you said, I did a picture of you, which I think was the Eastenders picture. You said, what a fucking awful photo. I thought it's a lovely photo.
I know. Somebody said that to me on the train the other day. Showed me a photo of those EastEnders promos and said, isn't that lovely? I can't look at it. I can't. It was a difficult time, Pav.
Was it a difficult time? Why was it a difficult time?
It wasn't my cup of tea.
Really?
And I'm not good at promotion. I don't go to premieres and all that. I think I've said this to you guys before.
Yeah.
I don't like having photos done. And EastEnders is all about that, really. Lots of different photo shoots and magazines, and so anything like that where they were taking photos in the square or whatever, I was just really uncomfortable. And perhaps you can't see it, but I can see it in my eyes. I'm just really uncomfortable. Right.
Because, and again, we're probably going to reference a lot of things that we may have already spoken about. If you want to hear the 2 or 3 times that Ashley very kindly came on the This Country podcast, WTF of This Country podcast, I'll put the link in the show notes. Go and listen, because I don't think there's anybody that I've met, and we've met quite a few people in the showbiz world. I don't think I've ever met anybody that is so vastly different from what their image is on, because like I've said to you many times that you are one of the people that I hate the most in a lot of the things that you do. Whether it's Derek or whether it's like, I mean, not necessarily Life on the Road, but definitely Derek. And there's a couple of the roles that you've had where you are just a horrible, horrible person.
Yeah.
And I can vividly remember the first time that you were going to come on and talk to us, and I was genuinely shitting myself because I thought, what if she's like that in real life? And the thing was, you are about as far away from that in real life to what it is. So it's are you?
Well, that's a
happy-
relief.
Yeah, absolutely. If I'd have said, God, you're just like the characters you play.
Just like Big Mandy. Mental.
Oh my God. I mean, that's the creme de la creme of things, isn't it? Is Big Mandy. So, but do you prefer then being, because again, before we actually spoke to you the first time, you're one of those people that I always noticed, like you were a nurse or you were behind the counter of something, and it was like, oh my God, she's there again. There she is, there she is. And then obviously then when you came on our radar for this country, it was like, oh my God, I've seen her in so many different things. Do you prefer that where you are just off the center of the star of the show or the movie?
Well, it's just how it's gone, really, Pav. I mean, I am reticent in life. I'm quite shy. I do prefer not to be the center of attention. Definitely.
Right.
Yeah. And I do like playing. I will take those roles where it's the most challenging aspects of society. They are my favourite people to play, but it does mean I get a lot of stick. And when I was in EastEnders, I did get a lot of stick in the street, and it was awful. So
really?
They described me in the press when I was doing it as the most hated character in EastEnders ever.
Wow. I mean, there's some company there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she did try and sell a baby, to be fair. So
but that's just EastEnders. I mean, that's like every month they do something like that, don't they?
So yeah, people shouted at me in the street and stuff, and that I was like, oh my God, I can't carry on with this. I can't do this.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that is. And is that the one role where you've had that kind of feedback, or do you get it? Because again, you've been a Death Eater in Harry Potter, so do you get little kids running from you because they're scared?
No, they don't recognise me from Harry Potter. I it was such a tiny role. No, they don't recognise me from Harry Potter. But
right.
I play a character in Mallory Towers. We just finished our final season called Matron, and she's pretty stern. And so I would sometimes get kids looking at me like, is she going to tell me off or whatever? But she's pretty benign compared to some of the characters I've played. Yeah, people are very, very quick and happy to tell me how much they hate some of the characters that I've played.
We were one of those people. I know that for a fact because, like I say,
right.
Derek, you were just so
awful.
horrible. But you kind of got your comeuppance, and you kind of hope with those kind of things that those kind of characters get their comeuppance at the end. Yeah. But like I say, it's really. I mean, again, you are an amazing actor, so it's like the fact that you are such a nice person is also a massive round of applause in what your characters do, because you can change from being such a nice person to being a real bitch. Yeah. It's therapy. It's like therapy. You get to be able to do that and get paid for it. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, because I know that you dropped this in on us the last time we spoke, and we never really got a chance to talk about it, and I don't know whether you want to, but was your whole Star Wars experience. Because I think you kind of dropped it in as we were sort of talking on the last time we spoke, and it was like, hang on a minute, because you had an action figure made, if I remember correctly. No, they were going to make an action figure. No, they did make it. Right. Had all the measurements and all of that done ready. Yeah. Yeah. So you were going to be in Han Solo, wasn't it? A Star Wars movie. Yeah. And so what happened with that? So first of all, because like I've heard so many stories about people that go for auditions and they never know that they're actually going for a Star Wars audition. Was that the same thing with you? No, I knew it was part of the Star Wars franchise, but I didn't know what the character was. Oh right, so okay. I had to. I didn't. It wasn't an audition either. They just offered me the part. Wow. So they'd seen my. They'd seen me do a couple of things. I don't know. It was Phil Lord and I can never remember the other name. They're two directors they direct together. Lord and Miller, yeah, that's right. Lord and Miller. Yes. And they'd seen me do a couple of things. So they just offered me this role, but they didn't say what it was. And I'm a proper nerd. So I was like, yes, before my agent had even got to the end of the sentence. But we didn't know what it was. And we were laughing, because I was like, fucking hell, this could be like Jabba the Hutt's mum or something. And I've said, yeah. I still would have said yes. But, I had no idea what it was going to be. So, that's they just offered it and I took it. Yeah. Not knowing. So how far into the process did you actually get? Because anybody
We
that's
filmed
seen, so you filmed your actual part. Everything was
Oh,
all
yeah.
done.
Yeah. We filmed it. Yeah, me and Phoebe Waller-Bridge having a row in I was like a droid trainer, so I was like Mickey to my robot Rocky.
Right.
And we had a big tear up and all improvised, and we laughed a lot, and it was really good.
Yeah.
The whole thing was going to be really great because it was those two are really irreverent, Lord and Miller.
That's right. That's right.
So they had lots of like good British actors in it, with comic chops. And halfway through, I think they got cold feet, the producers or the franchise.
Yeah.
And they sacked the two directors and brought Ron Howard in, and he recast a lot of it, including me. There was a few of us that got recast. What's his name from The Mighty Boosh? Not Noel Fielding.
Julian Barrett.
Julian Barrett. He got the same thing happened to him, happened to me, which is they reshot the scenes with someone else.
Wow. And I think if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it his brother?
Yeah, it was Ron Howard's brother that played my part.
Yeah, Clint Howard, I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah. So he just wanted it more. I think I was way too out there for somebody like Ron Howard.
Right.
So,
because the rumor always, did you get to read the whole script, or did you just get your bit? Because the rumor was that they were sacked because there was a lot of, it was very, very comedic, and it was very slapstick, and it wasn't like what Star Wars should be, whatever Star Wars should be now. No one knows, but that was kind of the rumor, that it was like I'm
sure that's what it is. I mean, I don't know, and I don't want to get sued or anything, but no. As far as I could tell, the tone was completely wrong.
Right.
I was just about to say his name, but one of the very famous Star Wars actors who's been in a few and was in this one did not like what Phoebe and I were doing. Made it quite clear that he was disapproving. So yeah, I think we were in the wrong place at the wrong time. And
does that kind of break your heart a little bit, with being such a massive Star Wars fan?
I mean, I was gutted. It's all I've ever wanted is to be in a Star Wars, and I guess I have been.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't exist out there in the world.
Yeah.
And also it means I don't get any Comic Cons, and which I would have just loved. I would have been all over those.
I mean, because again, I mean, you've already got Harry Potter on your backdrop.
It just would have been just such fun to meet everybody. I would have, those are my people.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there you go. But that's how the cookie crumbles.
I suppose being a jobbing actor, it's that kind of thing. I mean, not that I need to know, but I'm assuming like you get paid anyway because you've done the work.
Oh yeah.
And stuff like that. But being a Star Wars fan, it's not just any job for you when you're a Star Wars fan, is it? And what did it feel like actually walking onto a Star Wars set? Because
incredible.
I bet it's just, you had to pinch yourself.
And my costume was fantastic. I'm never allowed to show any photos of that. I've got photos of the costume, and
really?
My droid trainer wore Chewbacca's belt across her front.
Right, what, the
and
bandolier?
I also had and it was the real belt.
Oh my
And then I
God.
had, even better, was C-3PO's real hand, which they brought to me every day. It wasn't allowed. I wasn't allowed to be alone with it, except for one time where they forgot and left me alone with it. And then I got loads of photos of it and put my hand in it and did everything I wasn't supposed to do. So
I was worried what you said you were going to do with it when you were alone with it. That's what I was worried about.
That's what I'm telling you that I did with it.
Fair enough. That's the official. And I'm assuming because they got sacked that it's not like the stuff that they shot would end up being in a special edition, or
never see it.
That's heartbreaking.
Shame.
It's heartbreaking.
Never mind.
But never mind. Okay. 60's albums.
Yeah.
Now, originally we were going to do, I think, 70's comedy movies, but
we were. And I made the list, and I do my due diligence, you know, Pav.
Nice,
So
I love that.
I did a lot of research, and yeah, it was easy to find my top 10 70s movies, except they're all now horrifically racist and sexist, and I can't stomach any of them anymore.
Yeah, it's weird you say that, because there's been a couple of times when we've had not necessarily whole episodes, but certain sections or certain choices, and I've always asked that question of whether you can separate the time or separate the person from the art. And the thing is, the 70s was such a different time.
Yeah,
I showed one of my kids Love Thy Neighbor a few months ago,
and
they were horrified, and I said that was top class entertainment for the 70s. That was getting 20 million people watching every week, and they were horrified that it was even like written, let alone filmed and then performed. And you're absolutely right. I mean, the thing is, I love certain 70s movies, but you can understand how it's an absolute different time, and I don't think some of it doesn't relate to present day.
Yeah, I think I'm a different person as well. So stuff where I thought, well, it's definitely going to be that. It's definitely going to be Animal House. And then watching clips of it, I was like, oh, this is not only is it not funny anymore, but it's terribly sexist.
Yes.
And I think I've probably found feminism in the time since I was watching those movies when I was young. So, I sent you a message saying I can't do it. Can we do something else?
Which again is great, because I would rather have done that than go through 70s where every one of your choices is, yeah, but I don't really like that now.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of how easy or hard was it for you to get your 60s albums together?
Really easy. So I'm a vinyl junkie.
Okay.
It's actually it wasn't easy in terms of what to choose, because there was so much.
Yeah.
So in the end, the criteria that I went for was it had to be in my collection. It had to be in my vinyl collection.
That's a good one. That's a good.
Otherwise, so there's albums that are missing that should be in there.
Okay.
But this is my top 10 from my collection.
That's fair enough. I must admit, and I will say it now, I tried really hard not to make this a top 10 Beatles albums.
Yeah.
I really tried hard, but you love what you love, and the 60s were the Beatles' time, as far as I'm concerned. I haven't got 10 Beatles albums, but it's Beatles heavy. I'm just going to say that for now. Before we actually get on with our countdown, we need to do this.
Lisa's Challenge.
What the fuck are you saying?
Okay, so Lisa's Challenge is basically you have to tell me how many you think we're going to have the same in the top 10, and I'm going to tell you as well, so see who wins at the end of it.
I think we are going to have 2.
Ooh, okay. I think we're going to have... See, I don't know what your tastes are in music. That's the trouble. I think we're going to have 4. I think we're going to have 4 the same.
So I ought to tell you, it's not fair, really, what's happened there, because I've only chosen one Beatles album because I thought that was fair.
That's fair enough. No, that's fair enough, because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4... I've got 5. So half of my top 10.
5?
I've got 5 Beatles albums in my top 10. But I've obviously got 5 that aren't Beatles albums. So, you know.
Yeah. So I'm saying 2, and you're saying how many?
I'm
4?
saying 4. I'm going to go 4.
Okay.
But like I say, I've got no idea what yours might be all Julie Andrews albums, although from hearing what you said when I said The Sound of Music, I don't think that's going to be the thing. Okay. Kick us off with your number 10 then, please, okay. Ashley.
Right, number 10 is Getz Gilberto.
Oh, right.
Stan Getz, João Gilberto. It's what would you say this is? What is this? It's like jazz, bossa nova kind of album. It's an absolute classic. Girl from Ipanema is the first song on it.
Right.
Yeah, it's a Brazilian singer and a jazz tenor. Beautiful music. Great cover as well, I think, actually.
Nice.
That's my number 10.
Okay. So you say have you always been a vinyl junkie, or is it kind of like you've sort of come back to it, or did you?
No, I've always been a vinyl junkie. I've still got my vinyl
don't mean to
from
press the
when I
button.
was a kid.
Oh,
from
really?
the 60s, yeah.
Wow. Were you a Now That's What I Call Music kid? Did you get them when you were little?
No, I didn't. I used to like proper albums. I got into music from about the age of 6. My brother was a DJ, and he's 13, 14 years older than me. So he used to bring lots of stuff home. So he brought home the first pressing of Rapper's Delight, Sugar Hill Gang.
Wow.
And I've still got it.
Have you?
So yeah, I've got really cultured, very, very cultured taste, Pav.
Oh, I could be in trouble then.
You might be. You might be.
I mean, just from your first choice, I feel like I'm fucked. So.
Yeah. Well, I thought. I mean, I could have done top 10 jazz, to be honest, because the 60s
really?
was so brilliant for jazz. But yeah, I've just gone for this one.
Right. I will warn you now as well. I've got very vanilla tastes when it comes to music.
Oh, love.
I've got yeah. I know, and I'm renowned for this when it comes to these musical top 10s, because it's all very straight down, and I'm very lazy at listening to things, and I've only just started listening to like Led Zeppelin and things like that because of this podcast. So it's those kind of things I'm just. So
well, I hope you're going to listen to a little bit from every album that I suggest.
I have got. And no word of a lie, I have got a list of everything that I have homework from every episode.
Good.
So I always make sure. When we did year 2000, or the decade of the 2000s albums last week, and I'm working my way through. And I must admit, I'm struggling with some of them because I don't like Radiohead and I don't like things like that. So I'm listening. I'm giving it a go, Ashley. I am trying.
That's
so
all you can do.
I hope I get marks for effort. But absolutely. I'm sat at work and I'm thinking, I just want to slit my wrists because this bloody Radiohead is really just getting on my... I just don't know what it is.
You're not supposed to like everything.
Exactly. I completely agree. Okay, so my number 10, and again, just started listening to these. So this was the album I thought you had to have a Led Zeppelin album in there. So I've gone for Led Zeppelin 2 because it's a bit more rockier than Led Zeppelin 1. And I'll work my way to 3 and 4, but this was 1969, Whole Lot of Love. And I know a few of the songs, and that's the thing. I'll look at the albums and think, what hits do I know? Because I'm lazy, but I've had a listen, and I prefer this. The first album was a lot more bluesier, and I don't mind blues, but it seemed to like meander a little bit. This one's got more hard-hitting stuff, which I can kind of get down on a bit more. But, yeah, they're one of those kind of bands that... Everybody goes on about Led Zeppelin, and I've never really listened to them to hear what they're like. I know Stairway to Heaven and all that kind of thing. So I'm giving them a go. And I thought, really, 60s? They had this and Led Zeppelin 1 all released in 1969, so I need to look back on why that was. They seemed to have such a short amount of time, but lots of albums came out in such a short amount of time. So... I don't know. Where do you stand on Led Zeppelin? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I love Led Zeppelin. Yeah, I nearly put Led Zeppelin in. They just didn't quite make the cut. I'm a big Led Zeppelin fan. George Michael once said that Led Zeppelin is music to have sex to.
Really? Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I'm 55. I think I might have to put it on.
I'm 52.
I might have to put it on a really slow speed. I think. I think those days are gone.
Maybe just put the headphones on her, Pat.
And a mask, probably. That might be the best thing, so you can't see what's going on. Because I'll tell you what, it's not a pretty sight. Anyway.
Oh,
well, okay, you're number 9 then, please, Ashley.
So number 9 is Aretha. And it's Hey Now, Hey, The Other Side of the Sky. Looks like this.
Oh, nice.
Got some great art in it, this. Look at that.
Yeah, that's the thing with albums. We've said before, there's nothing better than getting a gatefold sleeve on an album and seeing the artwork, and it's just the best. It's absolutely the best.
So I chose this one. I've got a few Arethas in my collection, but I chose this one because it's got a song of hers that I absolutely love, which is Sister from Texas. Again, it's a bit of an obscure one, but you should check that out. That's another good one for the headphones.
Is it?
If you know what I mean.
Is it a bit slower?
It's a bit slower.
It's not going to put my back out, this one, no? It won't put my back out.
She really, really sings great on this album. she's in the prime of her life here, and it shows.
Really?
So, yeah. That's it. You got it going.
There you go. I'm going to try and put a few little
I can
tunes
hear
in
it.
because I don't give a shit about copyright. It's not like I'm not broadcasting to the masses, am I? So it don't matter. What I want to be is I want to be like you with Star Wars. I think I've got something and then it gets taken away from me.
Yes,
so
perfect.
that's the way to do it. So this you said this is a bit more of a obscure album. Is it?
Well, it's an album. You see, what people tend to know with Aretha, certainly our generation and younger, is the hits.
Yeah.
And she did make some really brilliant albums with songs on it that, you perhaps haven't necessarily listened to, because when you think of Aretha Franklin, you think of Respect, you think of, I've Never Loved a Man. And, this hasn't got any outstanding hits on it, but It's got some really brilliant songs that perhaps are not so well known. And Sister from Texas is it's just a brilliant song. And she wrote most of them. There's some Leonard Bernstein on here and some Bobby Womack, but most of them are written by her.
Oh, right.
Which is great as well.
Absolutely legendary. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, my number 9. I'm going for any album that has a song that the height of amazingness, like "Gimme Shelter" by the Rolling Stones. I'm going to put "Let It Bleed" on there because,
fantastic.
For me, "Gimme Shelter" is one of the greatest songs ever written.
And me,
Yeah.
and this would have been in my top 10 if it was in my collection, and I don't have it on vinyl, but it would have been. So
okay, so like, have you got a record shop that you go to like now, or do you sort of get it online? Is it easier? For
No, I like to go through. So I tend to go to record shops, or what I like best is finding, flea markets and charity shops and whatever abroad, because that's where you can still pick up really good stuff. So my partner's Canadian, and there's lots of I've brought home lots of vinyl from Canada where people are they're not collecting it the way they are. And it's very hard now in England to find decent vinyl.
Really?
Without having to pay. And because I'm a proper old school vinyl junkie, I'm annoyed now that everything's so expensive.
Yeah.
You used to be able to pick up something like that, an Aretha Franklin album, you get it for £1. Now everybody knows the value of it. So
the bloody hipsters, isn't it? That's what it
bloody
is.
Bloody hipsters ruining everything.
I'm sure I shouldn't be saying things like that. I'm going to get cancelled, am I, for something like that? Yeah. Okay. So that was what was that? That was my number 9. So what's your number 8 then, please?
So, number 8. This is definitely an album you're going to know, Pav. This is Manita de Plata.
It's what? What the fuck is that?
Manitas de Plata. He's a Spanish flamenco guitarist.
Well, that's my number 4. I wish. Right, can you spell it out to me so I can?
Manitas, Manitas.
Yeah.
De Plata.
Oh, there he is.
It means little hands of silver.
Little Hands of Silver. Right, I'm trying to see if I can find his album on.
My girlfriend is packing a suitcase on the floor here. She's laughing at my selection, I think. Are you laughing at what I've chosen?
So is that not has that not got the thumbs up then?
Yeah, it got the thumbs up.
Oh, it got the thumbs up. That's okay then. I need to try and find it because I can't find that particular album. But
well, any Manitas de Plata, he would have been most prolific in the 60s.
Okay, that's
Look,
fine.
there's a picture of him playing for Pablo Picasso.
Oh, there you go. That's
yeah, fantastic, brilliant.
See, you're too cultured for me, Ashley. I'm feeling totally out of my depth.
I chose it because I'm a real Spanglophile. I'm everything Spanish. I love.
Oh, right.
Speak fluent Spanish. I lived in Spain. We're going there tomorrow.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I had to have some flamenco music in this top 10, and this album was a Grand Prix winner from 1966, and it's great.
I mean, if I can find it, I will have a listen to it. It might be like Radiohead. I might go, what the hell's going on? I've got no idea, but I will give it a go.
Do.
Wonderful. That's your number 8. My number 8, I'm going for Disraeli Gears by Cream.
Okay,
from
good.
1967. I love Eric Clapton. I've seen him 5 or 6 times like live when he used to do his residencies at Royal Albert Hall. And this probably has got the most 60s album cover I think I've ever seen. It's all the paisley and sort of just looking far out, looking like you should look at it when you're stoned. It's that kind of album cover.
Yeah.
And I think
we're brilliant Ginger Baker
and oh god, Jack. What was the other guy? Jack Bruce. And they weren't they supposed to be the first super group? I think, weren't they? Because they all came together from different places.
That's right.
But yeah, Strange Brew is another great tune. Sunshine of Your Love. It's just got some amazing songs on it, and I love, like I say, Eric Clapton. Even now, I think he's just an amazing guitarist. It's funny because I was saying to my mum and dad a couple of days ago that a lot of the people that we all love are all getting to that age now where they're all in their late 70s, 80s, and
they're dying, pal.
Yeah, that's what I was beating around the bush, but they're all of a sudden, all of our heroes are gonna just start going. Yeah. You know, and I watched a bit of footage again of Paul McCartney today, and I wish he'd
be all right for a while. Yeah,
I know, but he just can't sing anymore. I feel so sorry for him because he just hasn't got it. And do you really want to spend 200 quid to see an 80-year-old just like warbling when he can't? I mean, is that what people go? Yeah. Would you do that? Would you spend that much money to go and see Paul McCartney?
No. But only because I don't think he would play the songs that I want to hear.
And what are the songs that you would like to hear, Paul?
I want to hear like Early Wings.
The Frog Chorus. Meat Free Monday. No. Do you want to hear that one? That was a classic.
Definitely not. Nothing from the 80s and beyond.
Pipes of Peace. What about that?
No. Horrendous. Wasn't he awful when we were kids? I mean,
Ebony and Ivory. I mean, that's a classic one.
So boring.
It's classic stuff.
No.
Play the Pipes of Peace.
No.
Oh, it's great.
No, Pav, you're joking.
The Rupert Bear song and the Frog Chorus. You got to have that one.
Come on.
I know. You're right. You're right. Yeah, I know. When was he last good, though? I mean, really?
Wings.
Yeah. The Flowers in the Dirt album was good in the early 90s because I went and saw him live when he did that, and there were some really good tunes. That album. Yeah, he wrote some of them with Elvis Costello.
Oh, then it's going to be good.
And Elvis Costello, and he was saying how much it was like writing with John Lennon with Elvis Costello because he would come up with this really positive line, and then Elvis Costello would come out with this really negative line to feed back from what his positive line. He said that was just like John Lennon. So there's some really good tunes on that one.
Oh, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. Okay, that's my number 8. So your number 7 then, please.
So my number 7 is an artist called Laura Nyro.
Okay.
There she is. If you want to choose a good one of hers, I would go for, if you're looking right now.
Yeah.
Eli's Coming. Laura Nyro.
Okay. Eli's Coming. What album's that from?
NYRO.
Okay. Oh, Eli's Coming. There you go. And what's the album? Is it just called Laura Nyro?
Yeah. Oh, it's called Eli and the 13th Confession. Beg your pardon.
Okay.
So she's quite new for me. I discovered her because of a documentary on David Geffen.
Oh, right.
Incredible voice, beautiful music, writes it all herself. And he adored her and produced this first album. And then they fell out and he buried her.
Oh, wow.
And so she never became the artist she should have been.
I was going to say, I've never heard of her in my life.
No, and she died, I think she died in the 80s. I could be wrong, 80s or 90s. But the person she should have been, which was, like as good, better than Joan Baez, as she should have been up there with all of them. He just made sure she didn't make it.
Wow. And what was the reason?
I forget. You have to watch the documentary. It's
Yeah.
on him. It's really brilliant. It's on Netflix, and they fell out. I can't remember why. I think he was in love with her. He was gay, but he was in love with her.
Right.
And something happened, and they fell out, and he made sure that her career stalled,
Wow.
and she could never get off the ground again. But that album, Eli and the 13th Confession, is gorgeous.
That's crazy, isn't it? That somebody like that, just one decision like that means it's somebody that the majority
that's
of the world are not going to know.
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
Lots of people get their careers ruined because they fall out with the wrong person.
Yeah.
Lots of people.
Yeah.
You just don't know about them because they got buried.
Yeah. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, my number 7. It's my first Beatles album, excuse me, it's Revolver. I'm going for. So
Great album.
I'm not saying that something that nobody has ever said before in regards to the Beatles. So it's amazing songs. I don't think there's ever been an act that has dominated a decade as much as the Beatles, and the fact that it was so many good things and so many good songs in such a short, compressed time is ridiculous. Have you seen the Get Back documentary that was on Disney?
I've watched a lot of it.
What did you think of it?
Loved it.
I thought it was amazing. Just showing how just strumming away and all of a sudden Paul McCartney has got Get Back nearly written.
Yeah.
And it's like, I remember saying it before, it's like, you're willing them to get that next line right, you know, because they're not quite working it out, or George Harrison's not quite there. What words should I put in there? And I'm going, it's nearly there. You've nearly got it. Just go on, you're nearly there. And it was such a good documentary, so brilliantly done.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Revolver 1966 is my first Beatles album in my top 10. So your number 6 then, please.
So number 6 is the soundtrack to Oliver.
Oh, okay.
Now, I've chosen this for many reasons. The main one being that my mother danced Consider Yourself and Who Will Buy in the original film.
Oh, really?
And my brother was one of Fagin's boys in the film, and also was Oliver's stunt double. So all the stuff at the end where Oliver's up on the wire, that's all my brother Kirk.
No.
So this film and these songs, they have marked our family. And so it means an awful lot to me whenever I hear it. You know, and Mum used to tell a lot of stories about shooting because they were on it for 18 months. So she used to tell a lot of great stories about filming Oliver and, you know, all the people in it. And
Yeah.
you know, I think she went on holiday with Sir Carol Reed, who directed it, and so I chose it really for them.
Wow.
This, I mean, you know, it is also Lionel Bart's score is second to none. I think Oliver, it's brilliant.
Yeah. I've always wanted to know what someone like Oliver Reed was like on the set of a movie.
Oh, we've got great stories about him. So
Really?
my brother had his, I think it was his 9th or 10th birthday while they were shooting, and Oliver Reed called Kirk to his trailer and said, "Come into the trailer," and he had a tin bath filled with bubbles and 2 page 3 girls in the bath for Kirk for his 10th birthday.
Oh my God. What a waste.
And Kirk said he ran.
I bet he did.
He ran away, frightened.
But you
He
know,
was just wild.
You know what it was? Oliver Reed forgot it was his birthday and remembered that he's got 2 page 3 girls in his caravan and thought, come here.
He said, "Kirk, my boy,
Yeah.
come in. Kirk
I'll make
ran
you a
away.
man." Wow.
Yeah,
I mean, what a legend.
Lots
again.
of great stories about him frightening the boys. He used to be really nice to them, and then he would just turn
Right.
to scare them.
Yeah.
So they were all scared of him for real.
I bet. Because he in that movie, he looks genuinely horrific, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's got that look that he will just,
Yeah.
he'll rip your throat out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, what a story.
Yeah.
What a story. Okay, my number 6. this was the album that I think Paul McCartney said that they would never been able to make Sgt. Pepper's without hearing this album. It's Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys.
Great choice.
Just again,
Have.
you can't beat some of these songs. Some of these songs are just bona fide classics.
Yeah.
And
they're not my go-to, the Beach Boys.
I kind of feel that if you like one Beach Boys song, you've heard them all. It's got that, that surfer sound and all like, but with the fact that I was playing this album yesterday when I was at work, and because I'm a lazy listener, I find it very hard to hear an album where I like every single song. There's always something that'll make me go, right, let's put something else on. And this album, like a lot of the ones that I've got in the rest of my top 10, it was like every song was like, oh God, this is just amazing. I don't think I would listen to another Beach Boys album because this kind of is everything I need. Apart from Kokomo, obviously, from the from the Cocktail soundtrack. That's a whole different level of genius, that is.
The only Beach Boys that I listen to is Dennis Wilson when he went on his own.
Oh, right, okay.
He was a drummer. He made a fabulous album called Pacific Ocean Blue, which is gorgeous, a gorgeous 70s album. But he was like a heavy drinker and off his head by then. But the Beach Boys a bit too white bread and 2.4 Children for me.
Yeah. That's fair enough. Okay, we're halfway through. So it's time for this.
Pop quiz, hot shot.
We're going to have a little bit of a quiz, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 3 songs from a certain album from the 60s. And you need to, if you can, give me the name of the album, the name of the act, and the year. So you got a chance for 3 points.
Okay.
Okay, so here's number 1. Here Today, God Only Knows, and You Still Believe in Me.
God Only Knows, that's the Beach Boys.
And what's the album?
Pet Sounds.
Is correct. And do you know what year?
63.
66. But that's not bad. You've already started with 2 points. Number 2. You Shook Me, Dazed and Confused, Black Mountainside.
What? Zeppelin. Yeah, Led Zeppelin.
You didn't. Yes, so don't. She's trying to help you quietly. So don't go what, because that just gives.
Look, Maniac.
It is Led Zeppelin, and what? So which Led Zeppelin album? One or two? It is what year?
69.
Yes, well done. Okay, number 3. Kathy's song, Blessed, and Richard Corey.
I'm not going to cheat this time. Kathy's song, Blessed,
and Richard Corey. Yeah.
I do not know. This is brilliant. Oh, is it? Hold on. Is it the Kinks?
Oh, it's not the Kinks. No. It's Sounds of Silence by Simon and Garfunkel from 1966.
Can't bear Simon and Garfunkel.
Oh,
I'm
dear.
fine with that.
Okay. Number 4, Michelle, Girl, and You Won't See Me.
That's the Beatles.
Correct. What album?
Fuck. Rubber Soul.
Well done. And what year?
65.
Well done. She's on fire. Number 5, Manic Depression, May This Be Love, and Hey Joe.
Oh, that's Jimi Hendrix.
It is. And the album?
Are You Experienced?
It is. And what year?
67.
Oh, yes. Well done. Number 6, Cousin Eddie, Fiddle About, and There's a Doctor.
That's Tommy.
Is correct.
The Who.
Correct. And what year?
68.
Oh, 69. Number 7, Rockahula Baby, Moonlight Swim, and Can't Help Falling in Love.
Elvis.
It is Elvis. What's the album?
Is it in Hawaii?
It is Blue Hawaii.
Aloha?
It is Blue Hawaii. You said
Blue
that. I'll
Hawaii.
give you that. And what year?
68. 66. 64.
61. Number 8, Midnight Rambler, Monkey Man, and You Can't
Stones.
Always Get What You Want. It is the Stones. What album?
Well, they're talking about the Midnight Rambler. Let it.
Exile.
It's not Exile on Main Street.
No.
Exile on Main Street. No.
No.
Stop joining in now.
You,
You're not
you
involved.
almost said it. It's not Let It. It's Let It Bleed. 1969. Number 9. If a Girl Isn't Pretty, People, and Don't Rain on My Parade.
That's Barbara Streisand.
Yeah, but
Oh, it's Hello Dolly.
no.
What?
My name is Barbara.
It's not. It's the Funny Girl official soundtrack.
Right. Can you please stop it? I would have got there.
Oh, all of a sudden now the holiday's off, so Maury, not going to go. And the final one, Tales of Brave Ulysses, Strange Brew, and World of Pain.
Cream, Disraeli Gears.
What year?
67.
Oh, well done. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 points out
That
of
good?
30. That's really good.
Is it?
20 out of 30.
The year thing is hard. I think we weren't born then, Pav.
I mean,
Well,
I
you
was. I was in 69, but I was, I can't remember much about it, obviously, but
No.
but that was still good. 20 out of 30, 2 out of 3. Oh, that's impressive. That's impressive. Back to the real job now. So you're number 5 then, please, Ashley.
It's the Velvet Underground and Nico.
Yeah, see that. I don't think I've ever heard a Velvet Underground song.
Well,
So-
then we are only going to have one album in common.
Okay.
Because I thought you would maybe have this one.
Oh, really? See, again, Velvet Underground, is that they're the sort of songs that I think when I listen to them, I'll go, oh, it's that one, is it? I recognise that. What would you say is the most well
I think
known?
you should put, if you're going to play something now from it, you should put Venus in Furs on.
Okay.
Or I'm Waiting for the Man.
Okay. This is definitely one that's got to go on my list because there was quite a few people that said to me about and they've said to me about Velvet Underground before. Yeah, that's Andy Warhol.
That's Warhol.
Yeah.
Yeah. Peel it.
Oh my God.
Good one, isn't it?
Now, did every album cover come like that, or is that a special, like, limited edition kind of
It's
one?
a special limited edition, that one.
Oh my God, that must be worth a pretty penny.
Yes. It is. Yes, it is.
Wow! And how many of those were made? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't know that. That is a bit too specialist. Even that's too nerdy, even for me, Pav. To know how many were made.
That is impressive.
But this band was so revolutionary in the 60s. Lou Reed, your John Cale, there's so many brilliant elements to this. And they were more than just a band, they were a movement.
Right.
And I think if I was alive in the 60s, I would have been into this band then as well. You know, they were they were completely revolutionary when they came out. So you've definitely got to put this on your list.
Yeah. So they were the start of something in the 60s, were they?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. A different way of thinking and being, definitely.
Right.
And a movement in New York that is still going strong, I think.
Yeah. And I always think with the sort of hype and the way that music is produced and sent out to the masses these days, I often wonder what it must have been like waiting for the next Beatles album to come out, or back in the 60s, or waiting for the next.
Don't you remember what that was like in the 80s?
I mean, I do, but it was even then it doesn't feel. I mean, I suppose you're right, but who was the biggest artist in the 80s that you could compare with the Beatles?
We queued up for the Wham album.
Did you?
Make It Big.
But the thing is like it'd be Wham. then it'd be Duran Duran, then it'd be Spandau. So there wasn't one consistent. I can always remember like Adam and the Ants when I was that sort of age were massive, and then once Adam and the Ants kind of subsided, Frankie Goes to Hollywood was the biggest thing for maybe a year, maybe 18 months, and then it became the next. Whereas the Beatles seem to always be the big thing. And I don't know. I mean, now who would you compare? Taylor Swift, maybe you would compare these days.
I would say,
but
you can't compare it because it's like comparing apples and oranges. Music is consumed in a completely different way now, Pav.
Yeah,
and everything is at your fingertips now. And back then, it wasn't. You know, you had to go to the record store if you wanted to hear that song. You had to either illegally tape it from the charts, and if it wasn't in the charts, you had to hope one of your mates had it. Or you could go and listen to it in the record store, or you could buy it.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's all at your fingertips now. It's fantastic how much music you can listen to now, but it's not the same as then. You can't compare it.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, you're right. Happier, simpler days.
Simpler. Not necessarily happier.
No,
but simpler.
You'd hear the 7-inch single, and then you'd wait. You know, buy that.
You'd wait.
And then have to wait for the album to come out. And...
I mean, that was great. That waiting, but it also was, you know, it's fantastic now that I can think. Oh, I wonder if, you know, say Aretha did another. What was her album after the one that I've put on there? I can just click, and there it is, and I can hear it, and I love that. Yeah,
but you still like the physical touch of an album in your hands.
Well, because look what I'm doing. You know, when I'm showing you this, and I'm saying, look at this bit of artwork, and you know that's all important. They thought about all of that. They're still thinking about it. It's just that nobody's really looking at it anymore, except for our Vinyl Junkies. I think it has come back though, hasn't it, vinyl?
I think so. But like you say, then it becomes more expensive then, and for people like you have never ventured away from vinyl. You kind of get penalised for that because all of a sudden they whack on another 15 quid.
I'm still, you know, so happy that people are listening to vinyl again. It's the way to listen to music.
Although I must admit, a couple of years ago, my wife bought me a record player, and I was so made up. I thought, oh, this is great, and she managed to find an old now that's called Music One. It was like from a charity shop, and I thought this is going to be great. And I sat down and I put it on and I listened to the first side, and there was like 6 songs. I thought, this is bollocks. I got to get up and turn it over. Where's the remote control where I could like turn 6 songs? This is bullshit. And I had to turn it over, and then it skipped, and I thought, fuck this. I'm just putting Apple Music on. But I mean,
it's not for you then.
I mean, I loved it. I loved it as a kid. You know, you'd get your dance set or whatever it was, and stack it up with 7-inch singles, and like put 12 7-inch singles on there, and then one would finish, and then it'd click. I loved all that. Oh, it was fantastic. It was. You kids, you just don't understand what it was like back in the day. Okay, so my number 5. I'll skip over this one. It's Sounds of Silence by Simon and Garfunkel from 1966. I mean, I love them as a voice. I love Paul Simon as a songwriter.
I love Paul Simon. I'm a big fan of Paul Simon.
Is it art? Then you've got a trouble
it's art.
Is it? Is that because of his like high voice or his funny frizzy hair or
stupid hair? No, I just together the two of them is twee.
Right.
Whereas Paul Simon on his own is, I think, much more experimental and interesting. Yeah,
that's fair enough.
It's in my collection, but I'm not sure why, because it gets on my tin.
That's fair enough. Okay, you're number 4 then, please, Ashley.
Pav, it's Feliciano, 10 to 23.
What's that? Can you say that again so I can write it down?
Feliciano, 10 to 23.
10 to 23. Okay, is this more Spanish?
Well, he is a Spanish singer and guitarist, but he sings American hits and very, very beautifully and plays brilliantly. He's hugely famous, Jose Feliciano.
Right.
And this is his first album that came out when he was 23. And it's got some crackers on there. It's got a song called The Windmills of Your Mind, which we played recently at my dad's funeral. And so I chose this because I love this album. It was probably the first album that I played when I was little. My brother left it at the house, and I played it over and over and over. He covers the Beatles on here, does Lady Madonna. He's got like Hey Jude on here, Little Red Rooster, Miss Otis Regrets. It's really good. Really good.
I've
really interesting.
I've heard that name before, and I'm not sure whether it was in a punchline to a Monty Python sketch or something. I've heard it.
Diana, I think it's in the young. I think it's in the. Is it in the young ones?
Yes, it might be. Yes.
I think somebody says something about something being boring, and it is a quote from.
Yes. You're absolutely right. Yes, I think it is the young ones. Yeah, because Rick says it or something. Something about Jose Feliciano. That name rings a bell because it's kind of trips off the tongue. That's a good one. That's a good one. Okay, my number 4, and I'll tell you now, my top 4 are all Beatles albums. So there you go. Number 4 is Rubber Soul for me, 1965. I'm assuming so. You've still got one. You've got one Beatles album, haven't you, in your top 10?
I just thought it was only fair to just choose one. Otherwise, it'd be really boring.
Oh God. Should we start again, and I'll just pretend I'll come out with. I'm going to try and find some really obscure.
You're never going to get. You listen. The stuff that I left out is so obscure.
Anyway, okay, so that's my number 4, Rubber Soul, Beatles. Everybody knows about that. So on to your number 3 then, please, Ashley.
Number 3 is, well, the Rolling Stones. I could have chosen a few different albums, but for fairness and because I have it and it's very rare and it's brilliant, it's the Rolling Stones' first album, which is just called The Rolling Stones.
Oh wow!
And I think there's 2 Jagger Richards songs on here, no, 1, which is called Tell Me You're Coming Back, which nobody will know. And the rest of it is all covers, but it still sounds fantastic when you play it. You can hear Keith Richards, that guitar that he plays like it's a shotgun.
Yeah.
And so this was the one that I chose. Rolling Stones, number 1.
I mean, they're another band that is amazing, just that they keep going and keep going.
Well, I'm the Stones over the Beatles, Pav. If you put a gun to my head,
I wouldn't do that.
Stones over the Beatles.
And why? What's the reason?
I think they're sexier.
Right. Okay.
I don't know. Just because they're still going, and I've grown up with them. That you watch them evolve. I like the blues very much, so they're more bluesy.
Yeah.
I still love the Beatles. I love the Beatles, but I came to the Beatles much later.
Right.
Whereas the Rolling Stones, I've been listening to since I was a kid.
Right. I think that's the reason that I'm a Beatles is because like that Beatles, Eagles, Chic, they were like my staple of when I was growing up. Like a Sunday morning, it was one of those kind of albums, but it was always playing. So it was kind of like what I was brought up on, those kind of things. But it's weird, isn't it? A lot of people are either or. They're either Rolling Stones or Beatles. Same as, I suppose, like Oasis and Blur and that kind of thing. But it's a lot of people I know, they don't hate the Beatles, but it's like I prefer one to the other.
It's ridiculous that. Again, it's apples and oranges. And I think if you like music, you should like both, really. They're so different.
Yeah, it's not.
The
like
only thing that's
sides.
the same was just that they were 2 young bands, starting out in the 60s, and I don't know why they were pitted against one another. Same as I don't know why Oasis and Blur were pitted against one another.
Yeah, I think it was
completely different.
Yeah, more record companies doing it than anything else. So you said that particular album was rare. Why is that album rare?
Because it's the first one. Because it's never in very good condition. The rarity of this is the tracks that are on it. So there were a few thousand pressed that had a certain number of tracks on it, and the rest were pressed with a couple of different tracks on it. They swapped out Carol by Chuck Berry, and so it's about what you're looking for here is sort of that bit there. I don't know if you can see that, but that's what you're looking for there is the pressing number and whether or not it's mono or stereo. But I found this and many other albums in it was in a junk shop in in fact, it's an architectural salvage place in Queen's Park, which is here in London. It's not here anymore. But I went in with my ex. Went in to get a door, and he'd just emptied this guy's house, and this guy was obviously a big vinyl collector.
Yeah.
And it was all just sitting there. And I said, "Oh, can I have a look through that?" And he went, "Yeah, look, I don't know what it's worth. I don't know what's there." And everything was there. I mean,
oh my God.
And he said to me, "You can take whatever you want. You can have them for £5 each, but I'll keep the Beatles ones." And I was like, oh, he didn't even know what they were. But there was, I can't tell you the stuff. It was just like a gold mine. And I kept saying to my ex, "Okay, just go and get another cup of tea because I could hardly breathe."
Really?
It was like treasure.
Yeah.
So I bought, like 300 quid's worth. It's probably worth about 40 grand.
Are you joking?
No. Really, really.
Dear. See, sometimes it pays to be a geek, doesn't it? You
Yeah.
know, sometimes it pays to be geeky about
Yeah.
these things because these little things that other
Yeah.
people at a car boot sale or something will go, you give us a quid
Yeah.
for that. And you're thinking, that's worth about 50
Yeah.
quid, that is.
Yeah, I was like
Yeah.
going through it, seeing all of these albums. I sold a few, the ones that I didn't want.
Yeah.
But I kept most of them.
Well done. Well done. My number 3 is Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band by the Beatles. This was the first Beatles album I ever listened to, I think. And it was mainly because Laurel and Hardy were on the cover. Again, I'm a massive Laurel and Hardy fan, and I thought, oh my God, that's Laurel and Hardy. And I remember looking at it from, I think it was my dad's copy, and listening to it, and I think they did something at school about it as well, because we were doing some lessons about the Beatles, and it was Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds and stuff. But again, not a bad song on that album for me.
No, and a brilliant cover as well. Yeah,
Brilliant cover.
Out there.
Iconic, just everything about it, and all of the "is Paul dead" kind of thing, where the letters at the front, the flowers, are they saying, and are the letters saying Paul with a question mark? And holy crap. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Your number 2 then, please, Ashley.
So number 2 is Abbey Road.
That's my number 2.
There you go.
That's my number 2.
So we've got one in common.
We've got one in common. Yeah.
So far. And it's, a brilliant album. It's up the road from my house, like a 5-minute walk.
Really?
I cross this crossing all the time. People doing that walk across it.
Really?
Yeah.
And have you ever stopped to have a photo on there or not?
I've not stopped to have a photo, but we've been in there. Went in there recently with my partner because we wanted to have a look in, and you went into the gift shop and everything, and there's always people scrawling all over the walls.
I bet.
And this is a brilliant album. It's got "Here Comes the Sun" on it, which I think is my favourite Beatles song. So George is my favourite Beatle.
It's weird you say that, because like my 2 favourite Beatles songs, no matter what the genius of Lennon and McCartney, is "Something" and "While My Guitar Gently Weeps."
Yeah, "While My Guitar," it's fantastic.
Both like George Harrison songs, and it's like I think he's always underestimated as a songwriter, but some of the songs that he's come out with were just
he wrote beautiful music,
beautiful songs. Okay, before we reveal our number 1s, we'll do the rundown. Do you want me to run them down? You run down your top 10. Can you remember what they were? Because you got some Spanish stuff in there that I'm not going. I'll just butcher. So, give us your 10 to 2. I'll do my 10 to 2, and then we'll reveal our number 1s.
Okay, so number 10 is Getz Gilberto, Stan Getz and João Gilberto. Number 9 is Aretha Franklin, "Hey Now Hey, The Other Side of the Sky." Number 8 is Manitas de Plata.
Beautifully done.
Number 7 is Laura Nyro, Eli and the 13th Confession. Number 6 is Oliver, Soundtrack to Oliver. 5 is The Velvet Underground and Nico. 4 is Jose Feliciano, 10 to 23. What is this? 4 is...
that was Jose Feliciano, yeah.
3 is the Rolling Stones. It's just called the Rolling Stones, their first album.
Yeah.
number 2 is the Beatles' Abbey Road.
Lovely. And mine is number 10 was Led Zeppelin 2, 9 Let It Bleed, the Rolling Stones, 8 Disraeli Gears, Cream, 7 Revolver, the Beatles, 6 Pet Sounds, Beach Boys, 5 Sounds of Silence, Simon and Garfunkel, 4 Rubber Soul, the Beatles, 3 Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, the Beatles, and 2 Abbey Road, the Beatles. So what's your number 1 album of the 60s?
So number 1 album of the 60s, and my favourite artist of all time is Nina Simone. And it's an album called Forbidden Fruit. There's not a dud track on this album. I'd say put on Memphis in June or Gin House Blues if you're going to find something. But this woman can do no wrong. Nina Simone wrote beautiful music, sang, played, was crazy, was a brilliant, troubled human being. I love her, worship her.
What was the name of the album?
Forbidden Fruit.
Forbidden Fruit. I can't seem to find it on there.
Well, just find this one of the songs, then find Memphis in June or Gin House Blues.
Okay, I think that's one because I'm sure somebody, when we did the top 60s songs, had that same song as well. But she's got one of those voices, though, isn't she? She's got one of those voices that.
Yeah, I could have chosen. There were so many Nina Simone. I've got so many Nina Simones in my collection, and I nearly went for Folksy Nina, which is another brilliant album. But yeah, I went for this in the end because it's got a couple of recognisables on it, and there's not a dud track on it. It's brilliant.
No. Lovely one. That's one for me to definitely stick on the list. My number 1, obviously, it's a Beatles album, so I'm going to go for the White Album because it's got my favourite Beatles song, While My Guitar Gently Weeps, and it's just, like I say, what's the point in even talking about the Beatles? Because everybody knows what the Beatles were, what they were, their impact on everything. So
but you can talk about what it means to you.
Well, it's the thing is with the Beatles is I find that it reminds me. I mean, obviously, I was born in August 1969, so I'm not really a 60s baby. I'm more the 70s. Wings is something that I love Wings.
Me too.
And it's weird that like that became. He was not only in the greatest band that is, in my opinion, that has ever been. He then went on and started doing songs that I find My Love is an amazing tune. Silly Love Songs, amazing tune.
Love.
There's so many great tunes that he wrote that it's just I can't get my head around it, But the White Album, I was looking at, it could easily have been Abbey Road as my top, just for the last 3 songs on Abbey Road with The End and Golden Slumbers and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I think it tips it because it's got my favourite Beatles song in there in While My Guitar Gently Weeps. So it's a double album.
Number 1 then. Perfect.
Okay, before we actually say our goodbyes, we've got a couple of honourable mentions. Mary Jane Sims said, I was born in 1969. My auntie Pearl was a great Johnny Cash fan, and I was brought up listening to him, so it has to be At Folsom Prison for Johnny Cash.
Great album. Would have been on there if I had it in my collection, definitely.
There you go. Paul Osgood said Velvet Underground. Nikki Dennis said Bookends, Simon and Garfunkel, inspired by Sgt. Pepper. And Rubber Soul, the Beatles. And Pet Sounds, the Beach Boys, inspired by Rubber Soul. Amanda Facer said Help, the Beatles. And Corinne Pastor said Abbey Grimes. That's a park in my hometown. Abbey Road, the Beatles from 1969. Thank you, Corinne. Before we go, I did have a message actually from Kim and all the other Dump Gang members saying they all send their love to you as well, Ashley. I think that if anything, that for me is your number 1 performance as Big Mandy in the BBC show This Country.
Thank you.
I mean, will they ever come back, do you reckon? Do you think they'll ever come back and do a Gavin and Stacey and do a Christmas special?
Maybe. I don't think it'll be for a while.
No.
But you can never say never.
And you'd go back, wouldn't you? You'd go back and be Big Mandy again.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would. I don't know whether they'd, you don't know what they would decide, but yeah, of course. Yeah,
I would love to see what Big Mandy's doing now. I mean, I don't think there'll be anything different. She'll still be terrorizing the village.
Yeah,
in the way that she should.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, actually, have you? So you're off. You know, you're off on. I'm assuming it's holiday that you're going tomorrow. And have you got any other things in the pipeline that you can tell us about, or is it true Hollywood style and there's things you can't talk about and all of that?
No, there's nothing I can't talk about, Pav.
I know that.
A radio series when I get back.
Oh, nice.
That's it at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Pretty quiet.
But when Hollywood comes, because the other thing I was looking at is you've kind of been involved in Star Wars and you've been involved in Harry Potter. So you've got things like Marvel and DC. Which ones of those would you like to? Because, you know, like Samuel L. Jackson, he's got his foot in every kind of, trilogy or universe. Which one would you prefer, Marvel or DC?
Which one's got Spider-Man?
Marvel.
Which one's got Batman?
DC.
I'll have them both, please.
That's it. Always aim big, Ashley.
Yeah.
That's what I say. Always aim big.
Yeah.
Okay, so for everybody else, please go to the show notes. You'll see all the links to come and join our Patreon and come and help support the podcast and follow us on Twitter and Instagram and all of that shenanigans and all that bullshit and buy us a coffee and all of that kind of stuff. Ashley, I absolutely adore you and love you. And
Thanks, Pav.
I hope you have a wonderful holiday. Thank you so much for spending some time with us, and we'll do it again some other time, and maybe do top 10 jazz or something. I'll have to do a real.
Oh no, that'll bore everyone, Richard.
I wouldn't know how to start with that. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. Now let's go start the countdown.